vacation lovers, and welcome back to our Iceland series. If you've been following along, in the last episode, we wrapped up the Golden Circle and the stunning waterfalls of South Iceland. And today, we're picking up right where we left off, starting day 3 of our Iceland adventure. So get comfy, enjoy the views with us, and let's see what Iceland has in store for us today. After exploring late the previous night, we started our day a bit slow. Then we hit the road towards Skógafoss, a 2-hour drive through beautiful scenery with distant waterfalls, open valleys, and winding roads all along the way. And there it was, the mighty Skógafoss. Standing 60 meters tall and 25 meters wide, it's one of Iceland's most iconic and powerful waterfalls. You can walk right up to the base, but fair warning, the closer you get, the wetter you'll be. On sunny days like this, a rainbow often stretches right across the mist. And yes, we were lucky enough to catch one. There's also a staircase to the right, around 370 steps, that takes you to the top for an amazing view. But this time, we decided to save our energy and make the most of the sunshine for our next stops. So, we continued toward the Sólheimasandur Plane Wreck. From the parking area, it's about a 4-kilometer walk to the crash site. But there's also a shuttle bus that runs regularly, and we took that to save time. The bus took about 10 minutes to bring us to the actual plane wreck site. There it was, the famous DC-3 Plane Wreck, lying silently on a vast black sand desert. This US Navy aircraft made an emergency landing here in 1973, and thankfully, everyone on board survived. Today, the abandoned fuselage has become an iconic landmark, eerie, dramatic, and incredibly photogenic. And yes, many of you might recognize it because it has appeared in several movies and music videos. Also, if you look a bit farther out, you'll see a second small plane wreck. It's from a different emergency landing that happened years ago, and because this area is so remote, the plane was simply left where it landed. Honestly, the plane wreck itself isn't anything special. It's just an old, broken aircraft. But the atmosphere around it, with the endless black sand and dramatic landscape, makes the whole place look incredibly stunning. Next, we made our way towards Sólheimajökull Glacier. From the plane wreck parking area, it takes only about a 10 to 12-minute drive to reach the glacier parking lot. From the Sólheimajökull parking lot, it's just a 15 to 20-minute walk to the main glacier viewpoint along a gravel path. And once you get there, you can actually keep going a bit closer, right up to where the glacier meets the ground. This glacier is part of the massive Mýrdalsjökull ice cap. And honestly, seeing it up close feels amazing. Those deep blue cracks, the rough ice formations, and the black volcanic ash mixed into the ice, it's just such a cool mix of colors and textures. If you have extra time, it's also a great place to join a guided glacier walk. Our final stop for the day was the legendary Reynisfjara Black Sand Beach. Honestly, one of the most dramatic places in all of Iceland. The black volcanic sand, the powerful waves crashing in, and those massive basalt columns, everything here looks really stunning. Just off the shore, you'll see those huge, spiky basalt sea stacks rising out of the ocean, the famous Reynisfjara, the signature landmark of Vík. And according to Icelandic folklore, they were once trolls who got caught by the sunrise and instantly turned to stone. And there's even a fun little adventure you can try here. But as stunning as it is, Reynisfjara can be dangerous. The waves here, known as sneaker waves, can appear suddenly and pull people into the sea. Sadly, accidents have happened, so always check the warning lights. Green means safe, but still avoid going too close to the water. After enjoying all that beauty, we drove toward our next apartment for the night in Arber. The evening light was golden, the sky perfectly clear. We couldn't resist stopping a few times just to enjoy the view. Mountains, cliffs, waterfalls. As I mentioned earlier, finding accommodation that matched our dates and route in August was really difficult. So from Reynisfjara, we actually had to drive all the way back to Arbor for the night, since that was the only apartment we managed to book. And that wrapped up day 3 of our Iceland adventure. We finally arrived at our apartment in Arbor. This apartment turned out to be perfect for our one-night stop in this region. The next morning, we were greeted by Icelandic horses relaxing in their stables. Such a calm and beautiful sight to start the day. Our day 4 journey began with a drive toward Vik, but the weather completely flipped. Heavy rain, strong winds, and fog rolling over the cliffs. We could barely get out of the car at first. Still, we didn't give up. We headed up to the Durhole Lighthouse, perched high above the coast, a great puffin watching spot. From up there, you can see those endless black sand beaches stretching out below, and people all along the viewpoint leaning over the railing to take it all in. Even with the rain pouring down, we could see puffins perched on the cliffs, totally relaxed, as if the weather didn't bother them at all. Watching them just hanging out there in the rain was such a sweet moment. After braving the weather, we continued east, and the landscape slowly changed, and thankfully, the rain eased off. Our next destination was Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from Vik. Hours later, we finally reached Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, and honestly, it felt unreal. Huge icebergs drifted slowly across the deep blue water. Seals popped their heads up between the ice, birds circled above, and everything felt so calm and otherworldly. You could see smaller chunks breaking off, bumping into each other, always shifting and changing. Some of them tipping, rolling, and flipping as they melted and moved. We wanted to join an iceberg boat tour, but it was closed for the day, so we planned to return the next morning. It's one of those places where you can just stand there and watch the lagoon change every few seconds. The whole place had this calm, almost magical atmosphere. And just across the road from Jökulsárlón, there's another must-see spot, the famous Diamond Beach. So of course, we crossed over and walked straight to it. As soon as you step onto the black sand, you see these chunks of ice washed up along the shore, sparkling like scattered gems. Some pieces are tiny and clear, others are huge and shaped like sculptures. And when the light hits them, they really do shine like diamonds. The contrast of crystal clear ice against the deep black sand is just wow. It doesn't even feel real, and it's honestly one of the most unique beaches we've ever seen. We spent a long time here just walking around, filming the ice, watching the waves roll in, and admiring how each piece looked like its own little artwork from nature. As the sun dropped lower, the ice glowed golden and blue in the evening light. It was one of those magical moments that made every bit of cold and rain worth it. We then continued toward our next day in Höfn, surrounded by untouched Icelandic wilderness. And that wrapped up day 4. It takes about 1 hour and 15 minutes to drive from Diamond Beach to Höfn. Around midnight, we finally reached our apartment in Höfn. This apartment was perfect for our one-night stay, or actually for just a few hours, because by the time we arrived, it was already the middle of the night. Honestly, on this trip, we were exploring so much and driving so far every day that we barely spent any time in our accommodations. It felt like we were just collecting apartment keys and returning them a few hours later. Day 5 started right back at Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, because this was the day we planned to finally do our boat tour. But honestly, we had not booked it in advance, and that was on purpose. With Iceland's midnight sun and all those beautiful distractions along the road, we never knew if we'd actually reach places on time. So we kept things flexible. And as expected, when we reached Jökulsárlón in the morning, the boat tours were fully booked with a really long wait. So we quickly changed our plan and decided to drive over to Fjalsárlón Glacier Lagoon instead. It's just a short drive from Jökulsárlón, around 10 to 15 minutes. Even though it was a short drive, the scenery along the road was amazing. A small backup plan, that turned out to be an amazing decision. When we reached, we only had to wait about 30 minutes for the next boat tour. And honestly, with a view like that, half an hour just disappeared. You can spend hours here just soaking in the dreamy white landscape. While waiting, we took our time walking around, filming the lagoon, the floating ice, and those dramatic mountain views. Fjalsárlón is smaller, quieter, and has such a calm, untouched vibe to it. The glacier looks like it's carving its way down the mountain. And at one angle, it even forms a heart shape. So beautiful on camera. Soon it was time for our tour, so we headed back to the reception, got all geared up with what they provided, and followed our guide toward the lagoon. We walked with the guide along a marked path to the spot where the boats leave. It was only a few minutes of walking, and then once we stepped onto the boat, wow, the feeling is honestly unbelievable. We started gliding quietly between these massive icebergs while our guide explained how they break off the glacier and slowly drift toward the ocean. Right in front of you, you can see layers of blue ice that are hundreds, even thousands of years old. And that blue color, it's so stunning. The ice looks that blue because it's super dense. All the air has been squeezed out over time, so it absorbs every color except blue. That's why it looks like glowing crystal. You can even hear the ice cracking softly around you. Such a surreal, almost otherworldly sound.
Was the top of the iceberg on the glacier, and now it's on the water, so the rest was underneath the water level.
The boat took us as close as safely possible to the glacier tongue. It was freezing, but we couldn't stop smiling. We took photos, and the guide even handed us small chunks of ice straight from the lagoon. It was honestly the perfect start to the day. And being that close to a glacier tongue, that's a moment I'll never forget. After that icy adventure, we were all starving, and the only quick option around was the classic Icelandic hot dog. So we didn't waste any time, grabbed a few, and hit the road towards Skógafoss, one of the most photographed spots in all of Iceland. It was about a 1-hour drive. Like every drive in Iceland, it was gorgeous. Towering mountains, wide open plains, and random, perfect glimpses of the ocean popping up along the way. When we arrived, it was rainy and misty again, but Vesterhorn still looked incredible rising over the black dunes. The whole place felt dark, cinematic, and super photogenic. So yes, we changed into our nice outfits anyway, with big waterproof hiking boots since we had no matching shoes. It looked funny, but we just embraced it and kept shooting. We also stopped by the nearby mirror-like lake. The mountains were hidden by fog, but the moody atmosphere was still beautiful. And of course, having those, okay, just one more photo moments. Right next to Skógafoss is the Viking Village film set, built for a movie that was never finished. The little wooden houses, the rough timber doors, the grass-covered roofs, and those dramatic mountains behind everything. It's such a cool spot to walk around. You can take your time exploring all the corners, the pathways, and the tiny details of the set, because everything looks like it belongs in an old saga. After wandering around and filming as much as we could, we headed over to the nearby Viking Cafe for a warm break. It's super cozy inside, and they serve some nice local specialties. Perfect after being outside in all that wind and rain. As the day came to an end, we started our drive toward our next apartment in Iðar. About a 3-hour journey. And honestly, this drive was something special too, because most of the route runs right along the North Atlantic Ocean. The road twists between steep cliffs and the water, and even though we had been on the move the entire day, we still enjoyed this long drive with full energy. There was just something magical about the views. As the sun dipped low and everything turned golden, that's how we wrapped up day 5. Tired, but so happy, surrounded by Iceland's pure beauty. And yes, after dinner at this apartment, we finally got the proper sleep we needed to recharge for the next day's adventures. But trust me, the journey is far from over. The upcoming episode is going to be even more exciting. We're heading to the stunning Snæfellsnes Peninsula with its colorful cliffs, dramatic coastlines, and some of Iceland's wildest canyons. And we also have a whale watching tour waiting for us in Akureyri. Plus, we'll explore the vibrant capital city, Reykjavik. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us for the next chapter of our Iceland road trip, right here on Vacation Lovers. Until then, stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop being a true vacation lover.